Hey guys, it's the first video of this new year. Gonna talk a little bit about structure, right? Plan. So I'm keeping a notebook every day. Just write down what I'm gonna do the next day. This is like a journal, and this is like this is like planner, right? The tasks. What exactly am I going to get it done the next day? The night before that, I'm gonna write that down on this little notebook here. If you write down the plan for the whole day, what I mean by that is you wake up at 8, from 8 to 9 you're gonna do what? You're gonna write that down on the notebook. For example, 8 to 9 I get up and I gotta brush my teeth, eat breakfast, and then 9 to 10 what are you gonna do from that time frame, and then move on from 9 to 10 to 2 to 11 what you're gonna do, go to the gym, and 12 you're gonna come back and you're gonna cook, you're gonna study, and 1 you're gonna do you're gonna go to work, you're gonna do laundry, whatever, right? You're gonna write all that down on a notebook. But if you think that's gonna waste a lot of time, it's actually not, because it takes like 5 minutes to write all that down. And you don't be afraid to make mistake, right? I learned that from the book Deep Work. You write that down and you adjust along the way. You're not gonna have a perfect day, right? Nobody's gonna have a perfect day. You're not gonna do exactly what you write on the notebook, but it's good to have structure. But if you don't want to do that, you at least have a structure, right? Write down the things you're gonna do on a notebook for tomorrow, and by the end of the day, you're gonna check them out. You're gonna check the boxes, right? I done this, I done this. Not only that will give you a sense of fulfillment for completing the task, it would just makes you more likely to do the task you set out to do, right? And you just have a structure. A lot of people have like New Year's resolution, and after a couple of days, as the energy fades, they just stop going as hard as the beginning of the year. It's because they don't have a structure. They just have moments of burst motivation, but that's not gonna last. You need to set a routine every day. You got to make it a habit. Just think about some habit you might have, right? For example, if you like watching porn, how did it start? Right? Some point you wanted to start watching porn, people, rubbing their body against each other, and that's the point where it started. And then as the time goes on, you keep doing it, and that thing and your brain link that thing to dopamine, so that forms the habit over time. How do you form a good habit? It's the same thing. You wake up, as the alarm go off, pick up a book or drink some water. If you want to reward yourself, do some of your favorite tasks after you read the book or drink water, right? That's a good way to reward yourself for doing the thing you set out to do. You just got to do the good habit over and over. At first it's gonna be hard, and then over time you're gonna form a solid ass routine, and then everything becomes easier. I also want to bring out this example here. When I was in prison, right? Not prison. It was prison. It was county jail, I think. I got arrested doing prank. I was charged with a felony, by the way, and then later it was dropped because the judge probably think this is ridiculous. That was ridiculous, the case. It was, we were charged for organized crime, organized theft, but obviously we returned the stuff after we took the stuff. You get what I mean? So it's obviously we're fucking around. So the judge later dropped the case. But the second day I was in there, I was thinking to myself, I was preparing myself for the long run there. I was thinking of the worst case scenario. What if me and my friend, my cameraman, got arrested too? What if we stay there for 2 months like Andrew Tate and Tristan? What the fuck we're gonna do? I was thinking a lot, right? I was thinking the things we're gonna do in that jail. There's gonna be a routine, right? At nighttime, I'm thinking about meditating, and and there's gonna be a certain time frame for chow, lunch, and there's gonna be time probably for us to just spending out there working, but I don't know. But I was also thinking, if I get out, I'm gonna have a prison routine, right? People like to call it military routine, but in prison is kind of, it works the same for me. Like, just imagine yourself in prison. Once I'm out, I didn't really follow through what I thought about at the prison. this year is the year I'm about to take everything serious. I can't just rely on motivation, like I said. If you solely rely on those things, it's not gonna last. So I'm gonna restore my focus level too. I'm gonna like really work on my attention span. That's something I always wanted to work on. You guys know in this day and age, it's social media, everything, everybody has short attention span. You can, TikTok brain and shit. A lot of you guys don't know, but I actually coach kids. Right now, I mean, like a winter break, I'm not doing any work. Well, I am doing work, but it's not kids related. But those kids in my school, they really struggle to listen to any instruction you give them. That's the result of just scrolling on TikTok. And you think about it, it's hard for them too, because their parents are screwed too. They're screwed too. Like they on their phone 27. How you expect their kids to be any different, right? That's why when I have kids, I'm not gonna give them a phone. It just keeps getting worse as far as attention span and taking it slow, introspection, all that slow stuff. People nowadays just like they're always on fast speed. Everything has to be fast. Boom, 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 boom. It's really important to slow down and rewind and do some introspection. A lot of throughout the history, great leaders, great people, they always do that. I'm sure, because they don't have anything else to do, so they have plenty of time to do introspection. A lot of things comes out of boredom, bro. And creativity, plan, better ideas, they all come out of the boredom. It doesn't come out of looking up research on how to fix this or not. And this is what I like to call passive suffering. When you're bored, obviously you're suffering. You want to do something, you want to bring your attention to somewhere else, or either you're searching for dopamine, or you just you don't like this present moment. But I'm telling you right now, passive suffering is just as important, because you're kind of training your mind at that point, right? When you feel bored and you just keep staring at the wall. You need that, bro. That's the key to unlock things. That's the magic you're looking for, honestly. You got to give it a try, bro. I know it's not hard, I know it's not easy, but that just goes back to the point I was talking about earlier. Set a routine before you go to sleep. Set up 20 minutes just to stare at the wall, write down your journal, do some introspection. It's really important, right? Because that's really what you're missing. What a lot of people are missing, honestly. So yep. So to conclude this video, have a routine, set up a task list the night prior to the next day. There's some time to rewind every day, do some introspection, be friends with boredom. So 2 point, okay? Be friends with boredom and have a structure, have a routine. That's it. See you guys.